name is Dr. Richard Damwa. I'm the director for the Space Systems Lab here at All Nations University. My main job, I work at NASA Greenbelt Road in Maryland. My background or the work I do there is atmospheric science. So actually my background, I started as a physicist and then did environmental physics as my master's, and then did my PhD in atmospheric science, specifically looking at the impact of pollution, right? And so back at NASA, which has been a very long journey, starting from University of Cape Coast here before I ended up at NASA. I look at climate impact, how our climate is changing, the impact on our society, and as well as the systems and our whole earth as a whole. So that's what I do at NASA. But I also teach part-time at Morgan State University in Baltimore. I'm in the physics department. I teach weather and climate. So between NASA, Morgan, and then All Nations here, I had to, put schedules together so that I can spend some time. Most of my time is in NASA, and then I spend maybe 1 or 2 days at Morgan State University. And when school is on break, I come here and also follow up on my other projects that I have here. So when I finished my PhD, I did my PhD in Germany, both masters and PhD in Germany after University of Cape Coast. And so after my PhD, I went to UK, Scotland, University of Edinburgh, to teach there for 3 years. And then from there, I moved to Canada, okay, to go and also teach at University of Waterloo. I think my activities here flourished because, he is the president of the university. Anytime I put an idea and he buys into it, straight is implemented. So I finally just decided to stick to All Nations because that was where all my projects were being implemented. So when I joined NASA, I had access to a lot of satellite data. So I started using satellite data to look at the pollution trend over Ghana, and it was amazing what I saw. So during the conference, I presented what I have seen from space using the satellite. And then when I went back, I went to talk to NASA and told them that because they have this project they call Aeronet, that is, they install their instrument around the world looking at pollution. Now, and the data also helps them to validate their satellite, right? Because the data is on the ground. Of course, we always say the person you are close to, you know the person more than if you are far from the person, right? So we have satellite which is very, very far above us, right? But it is giving us information on the ground. And so if you have instrument on the ground, we expect that instrument to give us more accurate data than the satellite that is up there. Just that the satellite can view a wide area at a point or at a time compared to the instrument that is just standing there. So I spoke with NASA that I will prefer we have some of their instrument here in Ghana to sort of validate what I have seen with their satellite. So they agreed and they said, okay, then I should invite the All Nations University president to come to NASA, come and sign MOU. Then they will bring their instrument here to come and install. So yes, we did. And so All Nations signed MOU with NASA, which was the first in its kind in the country. And then 2 months' time, they sent their engineer to come and install the Aeronet instrument, which is on top of the building. Maybe we will have the opportunity to go and see it if you have not seen it yet. And so they came to install the instrument here, and since 2015 we have been getting data from the instrument. So that is how this AeroNet project started with All Nations, and then we proceed with the satellite project too, and then after the satellite project, other projects started coming in. So some of the other projects that we currently undertaking, in addition to the AeroNet, I also sort of try to expand the pollution monitoring around the country. So I have this drone here, which is air quality drone that measures air pollution. So in fact, in this trip, I think the previous trip and this trip, I have a fellowship that sponsors me to come here to come and help institutions. In fact, they are Carnegie Diaspora, African Diaspora Fellowship Program. Okay. Now, what they do is they link fellows in the diaspora with institutions back in Africa. And so you have to apply, tell them what activities you want to undertake or help the institution in Africa on, and then the institution too will have to confirm with them and say, yeah, we need this expertise in this area. And so when they accept the proposal or the project, then they fund you to come down here. They try to pay all expenses, and then you come and undertake the project. So that is the fellowship that I have been coming with every year. And so this is one of the activities that we undertake. So I brought in drone, I also brought in weather balloon. So we fly a weather balloon, and as the balloon is going, we have instrument attached, and it is making weather measurements and sending the data to us on the ground. Now, with all these activities, it's linked to, so the drone is linked to pollution, the weather balloon is linked to climate, which is more of my area. And so when we came for this activity, we did, and usually when I come and I do all this activity, at the end, I organize a workshop, and then I invite EPA, I invite Ghana Meteorological Agency, I invite Ghana Space Institute, and then there are Ghana Civil Aviation, right? So they are all partners of this activity that we undertake every time I come here. So in the last, I think I was here 2 months ago, we undertook similar activity, and then we went to brief the Minister for Environment, and what he advised was to have sort of MOU among the institutions that are among the activities, right? So we have EPA, we have Ghana Met, and because he wants us to expand the activity not within Koforidua region, but across the whole country. And so he wanted us to have that partnership and present a proposal on how we are going to expand the activities around the country. So that is one project that we are working on. Another project that we are working on, which in fact we are going to see the Minister for Fisheries tomorrow. They want to sort of see how we could use satellite technology to help increase productivity of the in the fishery area, right? The fishermen, how we could help them to increase their productivity by sort of helping them to identify potential fishery zone where they think there will be a lot of fish around. So we know there has been studies in that area where they use satellite to look at the ocean and identify regions where there are a lot of fishes and advise the fishermen on the location where we have. So that is one project that they want us to start working on, which we will go and discuss tomorrow. And then I think the other last project perhaps I want to touch on is a project where we want to link students from Africa with students in the West, right? We are talking about our black students. So that is one project we have just started, bringing students from the US, linking them. So in this proposal that I submitted, I plan to select 4 students from education, 4 students from nursing, 4 students from science, and then I think, yeah, so education, nursing, and science, 3, right? 4, 4, 4, so 12 students, and then I'll attach 3 faculties to it, 15. Now, the idea is that the students there, for instance, those who want to become teachers, right? They don't know the sort of difficulties that teachers, especially here, go through, right? There they don't see, everything is at their disposal, so they are okay, right? But they sometimes think the way it is there is the same everywhere, right? So the plan is that we bring them here, link them to our local students here, and then if it is those who are being trained to become teachers, we assign them to schools. One, they will visit schools in the city, visit schools that, in the remote and then very remote place where even there is no light or electricity, right? For them to observe how these teachers in these very remote places, they don't have all the amenities that they have there, but still they go about their daily activities, right? That will sort of give them a very big perspective of how the field in which they want to enter, how the field operates, right? It's not uniform across, even within the country, Ghana. And that is the reason why we take them to the city where they will see, okay, this school has, computers, they have, and then not too remote, you see the difference, and then very remote, right? So they will have this different environment in which the teachers will do the same thing for the nurses too, for them to see how we use traditional medicine to cure some of the diseases. So this is another project that we are, and then at a point in time we will also give opportunity to our students here to also visit there to see this high-tech instrument that those there are also using. So that is also another project that we are working on. In addition to also mounting other important courses that sometimes we don't see here. In fact, yesterday we had a long meeting where we want to start a postgraduate program in education here at All Nations. So these are some of the activities we are trying to help our people back home. In fact, for me, I'll at a point in time come back. But before I come back, I should make sure that when I come back, I don't come and sit idle. So I'm bringing all the activities that I've been doing there down here. So when I come, there are already things that will occupy my time, right? So we have that vision. We want to at least try bring some activities down here to benefit our people back home. When I went to Germany for my master's, in fact, back home we all know when it comes to theory, we are very, very good. But when it comes to the practical aspects, we lack a lot. And this was very evident when I went to Germany to do my master's. In fact, before I completed UCC, I think we were about 5-to-1 computer, right? At that time, we were about 5-to-1 computer. And so, you know, you don't know much about computer. And then I went to Germany for my master's, and we were given things to work on the computer. So some of us, we struggled a lot because on the keyboard, I can't even identify the letters. Whilst I'm on maybe my second sentence, my colleagues have already finished the whole page, right? So that was one of the things that, in fact, has always been ringing in my ears. That, and when it comes to exams, they don't come near us, right? We are very, very good in terms of the theory. So we write the exams, you don't see them anywhere near you. But when it comes to the practicals, then you are struggling, right? So in fact, that was one of the reasons that when I met the president of the university, we discussed. We said we want to start a program that is geared towards hands-on work, right, than the theory. Because, I mean, we have, even here in Ghana, and I can give you an example. I have a kid that I'm working with who is very, very talented. I mean, he does a lot of things. But when you look at the education side, it's not very, very, very strong, right? And so you see that such a person here will not be sort of encouraged to do more. Why? Because we dwell too much on the theory than the practicals. So that is one of the things that makes this university unique. We emphasize much or more on the hands-on, the practical than the theory. And so if you look at these projects that we are sort of bringing down here, most of our emphasis is on the lab work, right? The practical aspect of it. Although we give them the theory behind, but most of our questions and emphasis is on the practical aspect. So I think that is one of the things that makes this university unique, and we sort of we plan to continue in that area. And I think now I'm seeing some of the universities trying to follow suit in terms of doing more of the practicals than the theory. So I think that is one of the things that we are bringing down here. Instead of bringing textbooks to the school, we are bringing instruments and lab equipment to help them in the practical aspect rather than the theory. So one of the things that we emphasize on here is so I have one of my faculty who has been dedicated to outreach program. Okay, so he organizes a lot of outreach programs for high school students and for middle school students. And so because that is one of our objectives for launching our first satellite. In fact, the first satellite that we launched, GhanaSat-1, one of the objectives is to use to improve education at the lower level, right? That was one of the objectives. Now we sort of came up with that objective because we thought our engineers that built the GhanaSat-1, it took them around, I think, 2.5 to 3 years to build that, because they started from scratch. They had no knowledge in satellite technology, right? So our plan is that if they had some basic knowledge in satellite technology before they started the Ghana Sat1, perhaps we wouldn't have used that long period to come up with the satellite. And so because of that, we are going down to send that technology to high schools and basic schools. So we are in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service to sort of start this sort of technology at that level. In addition, we have also established a virtual reality lab here where we are opening up for high school as well as middle school students. So they come in, you put on the reality, the virtual reality goggles, and depending on your passion in terms of profession, if you want to become, let's say, a medical doctor, we have a film where you can, you know, do sort of almost hands-on work in terms of that profession. If you want to become a pilot, if you want to become an astronaut, we have all this embedded in the virtual reality program. Why? Because we want to open up this sort of technology to our basic schools and our high schools, so that at least by the time they get to college or they get to the university, they already have this sort of a basic knowledge in the area that they want to pursue. So yes, we are doing a lot with our high school students. We organize competitions, we give them prizes. So there is a whole outreach program that is led by one of our faculties, preaching to high school and middle school students some of the activities that we are doing on campus.
Okay, the virtual reality is a system which when the user is using the headset, he feels he's in that environment and is able to relate with the objects and the things around the person. Let's say, for instance, in the field of nursing or medicine, assuming there are simulations, so as the person is practicing, you'll be able to learn the practical skills before going for any field or field trip.
I think one of the ways we are looking at to sustain these activities is by getting the government involved. I think that is one of the reasons why we are trying to get the government agencies involved in all our activities. For now, yes, we are writing proposals, we are contacting philanthropists, and so we are getting support here and there. But sustainability is one of the key things that we have to look at, and in looking at sustainability, that is where we are trying to bring in the government support, because we know if we have the full support from the government, we know we can at least sustain the program. And I can tell you that when we started initially, most of the funding was coming from the university and the president himself. But after successfully running some of the projects, we started getting some interest from the government. So for now, our main plan to sustain our activities is to bring in the government to support us. In fact, they are willing, especially bringing in the high school student and the middle school students. I think they are now coming on board to support us in the activities.
Well, studying in this institution gives us the opportunity to have hands-on training. We get to do practical simulations, and it gives us an edge in our future and prospective careers.
In our faculty, we have Dr. Anita, who is spearheading the female aspect of the whole activities. Of course, we know we don't have a lot of female in that area, but again, she's also sort of with support from. I know recently there was a conference that was organized by UN. And she was invited to go and speak, just to showcase some of what women can do and how they can help her to sort of go down and get in touch with the younger ones and tell them what they are capable of doing. But you see, this is surprising that we see exactly the opposite from what we witnessed back in US, and we even discussed this yesterday when we were planning on the program. Back there, you see, the women are rather doing. You are seeing more of the women in this area than the men, and the women are excelling in the area back there, but you come here and it's exactly opposite. I think that is one of the reasons why we are trying to link students here and the students there, for them to see, all this sort of prospect. And I can tell you that the students that we were trying to bring just before the COVID hit, we had about 70% of them were women, right? And just about 30% were men. But I know if we were going to sort of gather the students here, I know it was going to be the opposite. So yes, we are trying to get our women on board in this area, since we don't have a lot of women pursuing this area currently.
Dr. Damwa, being the director of the All Nation Space System Technology Laboratory, is of a great importance to the lab, because through his efforts, he has managed to bring on board activities like atmospheric pollution monitoring within the region. Okay, so talking of that, we are the only institution in Ghana that has aerosol robotic network installed in Ghana here. Is through his efforts. So these are some of the benefits we are able to get from such people being part of the institution. And when you talk of pollution is something that is critical to the society and to the human people around, okay? So we are able to monitor the pollution cover over the region. And this is not just for the benefit of the institution, but to benefit the country at large.
When we started the satellite technology, we spoke with people around, and some were saying, we don't have money to sort of feed on, and then you are talking about space, right? Now, but I tried to sort of organize some sort of meetings and let them know the importance of satellite technology. Look, satellite can be applicable to every sector. In fact, it was, I think, 1.5 years ago when I got to know that even satellite technology can be used to monitor poverty, which I didn't know. And so there was this meeting, I think, with the vice president in New York, right? And they got in touch with a company who was going to give them satellite data to monitor poverty in the north. How are they going to do that? Now, one of the products of satellite is to capture lightning, right? Lightning at night. So NASA, we have that data there. So what the statistical department was going to do was to look at the trend of lightning at night in the north over long period of time. So they are sort of expecting that if more homes have light, it tells you that the standard of living is rising in the area. So that was the product they were looking for, to correlate poverty with availability of light at homes. And in fact, I never thought of this link before. So I was telling them satellite can be applicable to every area. So when we invest in satellite, it will bring a lot of jobs, because in all areas, for instance, in the fishery department, these fishermen will go without any knowledge and be roaming regions where the population of the fishes are known, right? Wasting a lot of time. But if you apply satellite technology and you guide them and tell them, oh, according to the satellite, we are seeing that most of the fishes will be within this region rather than that region. That is going to increase productivity, right? Yeah, and so there is a lot of applications in satellite. Not only the patching, but the thing is, it is up to some of us to let the populace know the importance of this technology. And I can tell you that when we launched our first satellite, I got a call from a journalist from Voice of America who wanted to interview me on the satellite that we have launched, right? So we started the interview as we were talking, and then he brought up a question that so why did we decide to invest in satellite when we know people are hungry in our country, right? So and then I asked him where he was stationed, and he said he's in Washington DC, and that is where I am. But at that time he was interviewing me, I was here, right? But I'm in DC from Maryland. I'm on the border between Maryland and DC. Yeah. So I asked him, has he been going to Baltimore before? And then he said, oh yeah, he goes to Baltimore. I said, okay, good. When you are going to Baltimore and you get to the traffic light, what do you see? Then he said, oh yeah, you see some people standing there begging for food and money. Then I asked him, so because you have people begging for food and money in US at Baltimore, does that mean that US people should not invest in satellite technology? I mean, and then he said, well, my question, I'm looking at it in terms of percentage. So what he want to say. So you see, these are some of the things that they try to put, bring our mind to, in order to sort of not allow, not just allow, but not encouraging us to go into this field, which can bring a whole benefit ranging from disaster management, food, water management. I mean, everything you can think of, we can use satellite to do. So I think it's one of the areas we need to pay very good attention and start training our young ones in the area. And we are optimistic that that will bring a lot of prospect to our country and our continent. It's funding to sustain some of the activities that we bring here. In fact, I think some of us, we have been fortunate to be able to lay our hands here and there on some funding to keep the activities going. But I think the government should sort of dedicate some percentage of our budget to research here, and that is what some of the countries in the West do. They sort of dedicate some budget for research, which institutions and researchers will compete for those funds, and that will keep some of the activities that we bring here going, so that we don't, because I have a couple of colleagues that bring instruments, bring a lot of projects down, and because of sustainability, they all die up, and some have to just fold their instrument and go back. And so I think these are two key things that we have to look at in terms of sustaining some of the activities that we bring down here. And then also we should, and I think that goes to some of us, we should try to train, people in the area, because we will not be here forever, right? So capacity building, we need to do more in that area, so that at least those who are coming will be able to pick up where we live when we leave the area. So I think there are three major things that we have to look at in terms of some of the problems that we from the diaspora faces when we try to bring some projects here. In addition to some of the technologies, internet. I think sometimes when I want to come here, then my bosses are you go. It means we put the work down there for 1 month, 2 months, because you are there. Why? Because the internet here is not very strong. When I try to do some of the work that I've been doing there, it's not successful, because the internet is not very reliable. So I think that is also one of the things that we should see how we'll be able to improve some of the technologies that we have on our continent, Ghana. For. Yeah, I think the Carnegie program, in fact, for me, the Carnegie program has helped a lot, has helped me in my activities a lot here in Ghana. But I think apart from the Carnegie, I think there are other foundations up there that are willing to support some of our colleagues from the diaspora to come and help in this area. I think I remember there is a organization called Base 11. They try to help those who want to come to our African continent and help in all areas of STEM, right? So I think there are foundations up there that one can benefit from. But I think the bigger one is the Carnegie one that, in fact, they are doing a very good job in terms of helping or bringing some of our diaspora colleagues here to undertake activities back home. I think, in fact, when I look at the young ones coming now, I think there are a lot of potentials in them. But again, you can see the potential in a kid, but if you don't if you don't guide and help the kid build on that potential, it will eventually die away, right? And so that is, I think, one of the things that we should be looking at, helping the kids build on their potential, because most of them have a very great potential, and by doing that, you need to invest a lot in the education sector. I think for now they are doing some, but not a lot. I think we are not doing a lot in the education sector in terms of funding. So I think this is one of the things the government should look at and try to sort of increase the funding in the education, because it's the young ones that are going to take up the mantle when we leave. So we need to give them the necessary knowledge and the skills that they need to be able to sort of continue what we are doing. So we are doing some, but I think it's not enough. And the major stakeholder is the government, who can at least do a huge impact in that sector.